If you had told me about a game where you hunt to collect monster parts and then use those parts to make meals and cook against other chefs in a cooking competition, then I would have said yes. Please, we need more ideas like this. I first saw Battle Chef Brigade in one of the early Nintendo Directs shortly after the Switch came out. Miyazaki-like art style and animation, action-based fighting combined with puzzle-based cooking, pretty unique concept. I always love seeing inspired developers combine different types of genres together into their own creation. Sometimes, when seemingly unrelated ideas are mixed together, you wind up with a special and memorable experience. This game is no exception. The real-time combat combined with a 3-match puzzle system was an unexpectedly great mix. And a desire to serve the highest rated meals will leave you with intense cook-offs that get down to the last possible second. Oh, order up. Let's get right down to it. The story takes place in the land of Victusia, where the residents consist of stereotypical fantasy fair races. Humans, elves, orcs, dwarves, you name it. You play as Mina Han, an ambitious cook from a small village. She's tired of just working at her family's restaurant, so what's a girl to do? Join the military, of course. You see, Mina's aiming for a spot in the Battle Chef Brigade, a military-like group that hunts monsters and supplies ingredients to the land's residents. To join, you have to enlist in the yearly Proving Tournament. This competition pits chefs from all over Victusia against one another in cook-offs that are similar to Iron Chef. Wait, something about this is familiar. As commonly brought up, Battle Chef Brigade really does play out like Iron Chef, minus the monsters. The main game mode pits chefs against one another to cook the best meal for a panel of judges. Along with an enthusiastic chairman, both parties request a taste profile consisting of fire, earth, or water, and a main ingredient to incorporate into each dish. This mode is unique in how it forces you to jump between two activities, hunting and cooking. Hunting has you journey into the field to collect ingredients from monsters. This bit is where the previously mentioned action-based battle system comes into play. You actually have to go out there and battle the monsters yourself, armed only with your magic and trusty cooking utensils.
It's rotten! The garlic in there. Too much garlic. Smell of garlic. Pissing with garlic. Way too much garlic. How many bulbs of garlic's in there?
A lot of garlic, yeah.
What are you doing?
Conversely, cooking obviously has you back in the kitchen where the gameplay shifts to a 4x4 grid match 3 gems puzzle. To get the most points, you want to start with the main theme ingredient to get the base of the dish started. Then, you want to make sure you have a majority of taste gems upgraded that match the judge's requested taste profile. You can add as many other flavors as you want to rack up points as long as the ratio of flavors matches what each individual judge requested. Sometimes they'll have you make a dish with 2 or all 3 flavors. So you've got your 2 modes, one being your personal pantry filled with monsters, and the other rotating patterns of colored circles around. Why do I love it so much? Forcing the player to switch between hunting and cooking helped maintain this dynamic and engaging gameplay. Your satchel size is the main enforcer of this due to how it limits the number of ingredients you can carry. A smart addition, as it simultaneously prevents you from staying out in the field for too long and just stocking up on ingredients before you start binge cooking. On the flip side, it causes a need to restock on ingredients more often. This forces the player to make decisions on how to tackle their cooking strategy, meaning you can either try to whip up something with the ingredients on hand, or you can use some of your remaining time to gather more ingredients in hopes of finding ideal taste gem patterns to include in your dish. At the end of the day, the hunting gameplay goes hand in hand with the cooking. It's simple to pick up and a nice accent towards the main gameplay focus being the actual cooking mode. Plus, the gameplay itself just feels good. Not anything revolutionary, but good all the same. You really feel the weapons slicing through the monsters and kicks impacting their targets, just like you would from any other beat-em-up type of game. God, I'm the coolest cook around. This is also one of those games that has a lot of mechanics, but doesn't suffer from a steep learning curve. You'll continuously be taught another and another until you find yourself juggling between multiple ones during a single match pretty confidently. How's this accomplished? Through the story mode, you unlock a daily cadence of participating in 3 minigames. First off, there's Belchior, the gastronomy researcher.
Job!
He regularly introduces you to new mechanics like upgrading taste gems through combos or how bones combine into wild card taste gems. There's a lot to learn, but again, it never gets too overwhelming. You always have a few puzzles minimum to play with a certain ingredient and see how it works. I always looked forward to this minigame the most. It was cool to see what new thing Belchior would teach you and how you can spice up your cooking. Then there's Pontita, who runs the town's local restaurant, The Crescent. The goal here isn't to combine ingredients, but to match a pattern of taste gems as fast as possible. It's the lunch rush after all, people's gotta eat. This is where you get the most practice on rotating taste gems around the grid. Like I said, I'm not the biggest puzzle gamer, so this minigame helped build muscle memory on making specific maneuvers. This helped later in cook-offs because, as one could guess, the faster you combine, the more points you earn. Speed is key. Finally, there's Thorn, the Huntress. Early game, she teaches you how to use different attacks and tips on collecting certain ingredients. Like how you can let a bird eat an ingredient, wait a while, and then collect its egg to use as a sauce. Never would have found that. Thorn admittedly runs out of things to teach you faster than the others, which speaks to how there's a slightly higher emphasis on cooking versus hunting. But hey, if anything, it makes for a nice warm-up for the real match. Plus, she's a riot.
Your form needs work.
All of these minigames earn you gold to buy items for 3 categories: combat, cooking, and cookware. This is where you can moderately customize your setup for both combat and cooking. Depending on the item category, items can increase your health or magic, give you movement ability, earn you extra points with the judges if you complete the bonus criteria, and so on. Cookware has the biggest influence on how you'll approach your cooking strategy. You've got your basic pans that are able to perform 3-match combos, elemental pots that only require 2 spots to level up taste gems, and ovens that'll cook ingredients while you're in the field. This is another area where you'll determine good synergies between these different items and figure out what fits best for your style of cooking. As far as the story mode goes, that's pretty much the long and short of it. I found nearly nothing to complain about. Engaging narrative, gorgeous artwork, and there was always some new cooking technique to try out. In fact, the only complaints I do have revealed themselves at the end of my playthrough. One nitpick was how the secrecy of a match's flavors and main ingredient were handled. In most competitions, you're not supposed to know the criteria beforehand and come in as prepared as you possibly can. A common tactic for a lot of games to give you this layer of ambiguity, definitely not unheard of. But for how Battle Chef Brigade works, kinda pointless to have. Reason being is that a match's criteria isn't randomly generated, meaning you go into each cook-off with the same flavor preferences and theme ingredient and play for each one. So on the chance that you lose, you just pick better gear that suits the criteria and subsequently increase your chances of winning. So why do you have to play through it once, blind, to get the full picture? There's no point in introducing a system where it promotes experimenting with different strategies but then go, okay, I hope that equipment works out for you in this match.
Oh yeah, my fried food's gonna blow the judges away.
Today's theme, raw seafood.
With a cast filled with unique designs and personalities, there's sure to be a nearly Overwatch level amount of characters to play as. Let's tally them up, shall we? Mina Han, specialties with knife throwing and wind magic. Thrash, barbarian-like orc warrior with rage mode. Ziggy, necromancer and performs stylish close combat moves.
Oh man, and then you've got That's It.
That's it, wait, what?
No, that can't be right. What about Kieran? She appears all the time in the main story mode. I bet you could fly using her wings, and she can do some cool, like, feather shooting move. Oh man, she's probably got a really interesting moveset. Okay, what about Shiv, the orc with the falcon? Oh, don't tell me. I bet it helps her fetch ingredients, and then she... The dwarf guy, Caesar? I bet he could do some earth magic, and...
I mean, what happened? All these cool characters you meet battle against are part of your journey to the top, and you can only play as 3? I understand the story's supposed to be about Mina, and it was an unexpected treat that Thrash even had his own chapter, but don't tell me that in a game centered around a mode where chefs battle it out against each other, that you don't have more than a 3-player roster. That's practically criminal. Well, after looking into the development history, we can empathize with the devs a fair bit. Trinket Studios, a team of 3 people, worked on the game for nearly half a decade in total, with their last update being in late 2019. According to their final Kickstarter update, they fell into a post-launch burnout after the initial release. Sales figures didn't help either. They couldn't justify a consistent stream of updates based on those numbers alone. Frankly, we were lucky to get a deluxe edition. It included Ziggy as the 3rd and sadly final playable character. It also introduced different modes that fit in well with the cook-off gameplay. It's bittersweet Trinket Studios had to move on to their next project. Best of luck to them though, and I'll certainly be on the lookout for their next game. It's just a bummer to see this potential in the character roster not be filled. They really could have started adding all the other chefs you competed against and designed a unique playstyle for each of them. I also just want to see what they would have come up with for Shiv. My bird gameplay. Why? Even if Battle Chef Brigade felt unfinished, I can't recommend this game enough. It stands out as one of those special indie titles that's worth trying out for the idea alone. Making the player hunt for their own ingredients and combining that with the cooking turned into a great foundation to build off of. When you add on a great story and amazing art style, it's certainly an experience you don't want to miss out on.
With all that said, may Battle Chef Brigade continue to be discovered and fill that cooking gameplay void in our hearts. Or, as they say, Vive la Brigade!